we're making a summary of what we will be doing with couples. And in a couple of weeks, there will be the Scientific and Technical Subcommittee meeting from the 3rd of February to the 14th of February. And the legal subcommittee will be in May, maybe the 2nd and 3rd week of May. And yeah, at the Scientific and Technical Committee, we will be presenting two presentations, 10 minutes presentation with slides. One is about the 3E energy, economics, and environment. And the other one will be by Werner on the Lagrange factory. The concept of an industrial plant to be located at L5. In addition to that, Bernard will propose a 5-minute speech about the 18 SDG and the Space Renaissance gallery that will be flying in next June in orbit, where yeah, several small art works were sent to this program, and this box will be flying on an orbital flight in June. So this is what we will be doing with couples for the two subcommittees, while in the General Assembly that will take place the early July, we will make a presentation about the critical review of the UN Space 2030 agenda. That is something different from the 2030 agenda of the 17 SDGs. The Space 2030 agenda was issued in 2021, and it is related to space. It was made by UNOSA and COPOS and approved in the General Assembly of 2021 of the UN. We have developed a document, a punctual critical review of the agenda. Our main criticism is that the agenda is only related to the downstream technologies, so space used for Earth, and the concept of settlement and expansion of civilization into space is completely absent. Now, the UNOSA already replied to our proposal to discuss, because there will be, during the General Assembly, the 68th General Assembly of COPOS in July, there will be a session dedicated to a review of the Space 2030 agenda. But that discussion will not allow to present amendments. It will only allow a discussion about Wes is here, so I have to repeat everything. Okay. Hello, Wes.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I got really confused on the meeting time, but
Okay. So I will repeat for the third time what I was saying, but I will try to make it shorter because the other guys here already have listened to that. So
sorry about that. Thanks.
we will be at COPOS from 3 of February to the 14th for the Scientific and Technical Subcommittee, where we will make two presentations, 10 minutes presentation with slides about the triple E energy, economics, and environment, and about the Lagrange industrial plant by Werner. Bernard will also have a speech, a 5-minute speech about the 18 SDG and about the Space Renaissance Gallery. It is a collection of small artworks that will be flying in June in orbit. So this is for the subcommittees. For the General Assembly that will take place in the early days of July, we will present our critical review of the Space 2030 agenda that was issued by UNOSA in 2021 and approved by the UN General Assembly in 2021. So we have developed a punctual document proposing 39 amendments. I have to say that they already replied that amendment will not be allowed. So we will not be allowed to propose amendments to the agenda because the discussion will only be targeted to have a balance of how the agenda was or was not developed and how the agenda have supported the 17 SDGs or not. This will be the allowed discussion. Of course, we will make, however, a testifying presence. We will present our, for sure, we will present a flyer summarizing our proposed amendments and most of all, our proposal to add a 5th overarching objective to the 4 existing overarching objective. That is, our proposal is, of course, focused on civilian space development and expansion of civilization into space. So this is what we will try to do. By the way, we don't have prepared anything for the legal subcommittee yet.
I was going to ask that, yeah.
That is, it will happen in May. And therefore, yeah, we will have to prepare something if we want to make presentations and or a 10-minute presentation or 5-minute speeches in the legal subcommittee. Well, so this is what I can say, and I was seeing the minutes of the last meeting. Our last meeting was in August 2024, the last meeting of this committee. Yeah, we had some action items, final paper, Space 2030 Agenda Critical Review. This was done. Initial contact with the Italian government regarding potential Artemis Accord participation by NGOs. This was not done, and it was mine. Initiate contact with the US government regarding potential Artemis Accord participation by NGOs. And this thing, of course, should may be done now that we will have the new administration. And particularly, we have to say that our member, Robert Katz, is a good friend of Jared Isaacman, that will be the new director of NASA.
I should point out that everybody I've talked to about that in the U.S. government, they say it speaks to nations, and that that it looks like it's not possible for nations to officially join, but it doesn't rule it out specifically. So I need a better answer on that, and maybe with the new incoming, because this was from NASA General Counsel that I got this from, and But that can possibly change. It was just, one or two people that have said that. It wasn't an official response. It was at this luncheon, this space law luncheon that I went to. So we still don't have that official response on paper. But the Office of Space Commerce and uh, they're the ones that might can give us that. But there is no one-stop source for official words on the Artemis Accords. So we'll just have to try for a better answer. And if so, find another, like, a good way to the second best way to support it if indeed no nation can and no non-nation can join. But first, we need another official answer.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
what do you mean
It
no non-nation
seems
can join? Oh, the Artemis
since
Accords?
Yeah.
so
Yeah, they're an international agreement, so they're different than the Chinese one is a memorandum for parties to get together to work on a moon base. So it could be governments or non-government. The Artemis Accord is an agreement between governments simply to follow the International Space Treaty. So they're two different documents.
yeah. However, yeah, I have to add that we already have signed an agreement with the IRS, with the Chinese coalition. Because, yeah, Bernard was talking with somebody during his travels in China the last months. And so the IRS allow NGOs to join. There are already about 10 NGOs in that agreement. And therefore, I think SRI is now almost officially admitted to be an observer over there. And so of course it would be great if we could do the same with the Artemis as it is in our plans. Yeah, I think Robert Katz is also working on that. So Wes and Tom, if you are working on that, I think it would be better to coordinate with Robert in order to see what is possible or not possible to do.
Okay. Sure thing.
Okay. Well, so I think for the legal subcommittee, for sure we will propose in a better way the UN flag on the moon initiative. Try to have a presentation on that, and to represent what this gesture would represent from the point of view of the peace and of going to the moon as a humanity united effort and so on. We were having a discussion, maybe some of us have seen it in the SI at UN committee about the formulation of our proposal. There was a discussion about the opportunity to write if we are proposing to plant a flag on the moon, a UN flag on the moon, instead of national flags, or together with national flags, or before national flags. Because somebody argued that it would mean different things in some way. Somebody argued that it could be intended as acknowledging the lead of one or another country as taking humanity on the moon, let me say. So my last proposal that I have sent today for this formulation is to allow is to say it in this way. Now let me read it, because otherwise I could make mistakes. UN flag on the moon abstract. Yeah, this is the abstract that we are preparing for the IAC Congress in Sydney. Okay, I tell you the formulation. Space Finance International, alongside the Space 18 Sustainable Development Goal Coalition, proposes a powerful and symbolic act that will affirm the mutual commitment of all humankind to the principles of human betterment, planting the United Nations flag on the moon instead of, or at least before, planting their national flag. So in this formulation, we admit both possibility to plant only the UN flag, or to plant the UN flag and the national flag. Of course, we cannot impose to the countries to do this or that. I think allowing an open possibility is the best thing to do. However, yeah, this is what I believe. If we have other proposals for presentations or speeches to be made at the legal subcommittee in May, we can start working on that now, because May is not that distant. So we may we run the risk to be short in time for the preparation. So okay, Wes, Dennis, Jerry, Alberto, Thomas, Amalie. Now we have Amalie also. Hi, Amalie. Amalie, can you hear me? Hello? No, Amalie is not hearing. Okay, however, if any of us have ideas about some other important topic to be proposed at the legal subcommittee, please say it now. Or yeah,
I did. I put it in the chat. If we last time we talked a little bit about, I think we should do this again, rechecking the deadline for input to the working group on space resources. And then if there is any potential action ATLAC input by NGOs. I know one is there's a definitive deadline for submitting to the first one for the working group on space resources, and I think NGOs or everybody that's participating is welcome to do that as well. But I don't know if there's any set place to input ATLAC on it.
Well, we in the email that UNOSA sent to us for the next meetings, we have a very narrow deadline for presenting our topics for the legal subcommittee. So the deadline is 14th of February.
Okay.
14th of February. So if we want to present something more than the UN flag on the moon, that okay, we will present at the legal subcommittee. If we have other topics, we should put together an abstract before the 14th of February. So, Wes, you are proposing to say something about space resources utilization.
Right. Yes. I think that should be part of it. So if we're not, this can all come under the umbrella of what we submit to the legal subcommittee. But yeah, I think that should be part of it. And if anybody else has more ideas on what we can do a working. I suggest that we kind of get a working abstract going in one of the Google groups, or if anybody has any idea on what to say about space resources or anything else, that's I'll get an abstract thread going there. Or if anybody has any ideas now, we can bring them up.
Yeah, I think space resources is a good topic because we could enter in relation with the ATLAC committee. That's a very interesting group that is working at COPWAS. So, okay, who can draft a draft abstract for that?
I can put in a part about space resources. I'm happy to take that up and see if everybody would, if it's to everybody's liking. I can do that.
Okay, that's fine. So you have an action item.
Okay. Oh, has there been any updates on our ECOSOC status? Our Economic and Social Council permanent observer status?
No.
Okay.
Well, it is some time that I don't check our position, so I can do it now. Maybe just let me finish space resources utilization for LSG. Good. Waiting room. No, why waiting room? Messaging group chat. Okay. Yes, let me see if I can enter the ECOSOC and see what if there is any update. Oh my God.
Incidentally, just speaking of updates, Finland just signed the Artemis Accord, so that's up to 53 now.
Yes, Finland has joined.
Yeah, it's for civilian space agencies. If you actually read Article 1, it talks about it's the idea of civilian space agencies agreeing to single rules of conduct.
Civilian space, if you have to research, talks about. Okay. Allora, login.
Anybody else here that Andre Mistal, one of the co-chairs of the UN Committee on Space Resources, passed away?
Yes, he did pass away. Only 56 years old. He'll be missed.
Sorry, I have put the wrong username. Now, okay, login, okay. Status, review status, pending review. The application has been received by the NGO branch and is waiting to be reviewed. So this is our status at ECOSOC.
Okay, thanks for that.
It didn't change from the last time we checked. Log out. Okay, so what else? Maybe Wes or Dennis, do you have some other point you want to discuss in this meeting?
I have been working with the Moon Village Association. They have something called GEGSLA, the Global Expert Group on Sustainable Lunar Activities. And the working group I'm in on that is starting to discuss new ways that that the actors on the moon, be they nations or otherwise, can work with each other. To that end, there is a document that was produced called Project Proposals. There are 16 items. I'm not going to go over them, but I will put that document into the chat, and I will I may post the language in the chat itself. This is not anything specific I want to bring up right now. This is just for background. It's more like a what do you call it? Just coming up with ideas as to possible things to talk about, but a lot of them do have to do with some of the legal issues facing us. For example, what constitutes harmful interference? What's due care? But another one does talk about specifically the Artemis program and the ILRS and how members of both can work together, seeing that as a way forward for cooperation as opposed to conflict. And then a couple little technical things like protecting the dark spaces on the far side of the moon. So anyway, I will post that on the chat.
Great.
And people can just look at that.
That is a good proposal by the MVA that we could second. I think that would be maybe interesting to second that.
Okay, then I will keep you folks up to date on that, and I will use the email for this committee and maybe even for the general email for SRI to transmit any of that information. Thank you.
I believe in the concepts that they discussed at the MVA. Maybe there was the Gary Barnard proposal, or the architecture of a lunar village or something like that. That's Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Dennis, do you confirm?
I don't recall a specific email from Gary Barnard. He may have. All I can let you know is what came up in the working group that I'm still involved with.
You know, he made a beautiful presentation in our webinar, maybe 1 month ago or a little bit more, about the architecture of a moon village. Have you seen that?
Gosh, I can't say I have. No, I don't think I've seen that in particular. Sorry.
It's no, it is quite interesting. So if you have opportunity, I will share now the link to that.
Okay, and the our chat thing is saying that what I'm trying to send is too long, so I'll just have to send it through the email
to the group. Yes,
to this group. I'll do that right now on the Spaceflow email.
Yeah.
Dennis, I have a question.
Yes.
As a clarification, were you referring to the Artemis Accords or the Artemis program? Because they are actually two separate entities.
I apologize. Yeah, I apologize for that. The Artemis Accords, as you noted a few minutes ago, start out by saying that it applies to the civilian space agencies. It's an agreement between civilian space agencies. And a little later on, when it talks about its scope, it says that it also applies to any of the contractors for those agencies. It's not actually a treaty like the Outer Space Treaty, which specifically says it applies to all national activity, which would include any private entities. The Artemis Accords are essentially an interagency agreement.
Mm-hmm. That's right, because if it was a treaty, the Senate would have to approve it. But it's just an interagency agreement to try to set up some rules of the road between different space agencies.
Precisely. And the point I was just trying to make in the chat there was that if some private entity, SpaceX, us, or anyone else were to do any sort of a mission or add on to a mission that was not as a NASA contractor, then that private entity would not be bound by the Artemis Accords. That's
not directly, but under Article 6 of the Outer Space Treaty, their government would be responsible for their actions, which is why you have licensing of activities in space.
That's true. And it is, as I was trying to say, any private entity in any country that is a member of the Outer Space Treaty would have to abide by that. But they are, to the extent that the Artemis Accords go beyond the Outer Space Treaty, a private entity that is not a contractor to NASA would not be bound by that. One that comes to mind is a mission that was launched a few months ago. I forget the name of the private entity, but it was to seek out a certain asteroid, which might be rich in materials, but they're not telling anyone where it is or where they're going, and that's totally outside. So that's just one example of something that
that might be Astroforge. It sounds like.
I think you're right there, and that's just an example of something that might be still controlled and even licensed under the government responsibilities of Article 6 in the OST, but does not have to abide by the Artemis Accords.
Yes.
And in theory, SpaceX right now, once they get the technology, could launch their own mission to the moon and do whatever they want, and they would not be bound by the Artemis Accords.
Right. But keep in mind, all the Artemis Accords says is that the nations will conduct their activities under the first four space treaties. The idea is to exclude the Moon Treaty, the Moon Agreement. So it's the first four treaties that nations have to abide.
I won't disagree with you on that. I was just pointing out that there is that distinction when it comes between the Artemis Accords and the Outer Space Treaty.
Yeah, it is. And basically, the Artemis Accords were a way to get around the Moon Agreement that some nations have signed. Although it's interesting because some nations that are signatures are part of the Moon Agreement, so it gets complicated.
It's almost like it almost can be summarized as an implementation agreement.
That's what the intention was, to implement it under the civil space authorities.
With a positive nod toward resource utilization, saying it can be conducted, resource extraction can be conducted without violating the Outer Space Treaty.
Right. The idea is moving away from some of the more extreme interpretations of the treaty.
Okay. Yeah. But
to the ones that have been more commonly accepted over the years.
It stops short of directly including private entities.
Oh yeah, because they're regulated under Article 6 of the OST, and that was intended so that you wouldn't have each nation would be able to use its own economic system. You know that when the Article 6 was set up, it was set up because Russia essentially wanted a veto over what communication satellites broadcast to Earth, and the U.S. would not agree to that, and that was the compromise.
Amalie?
Oh, hello, Adriano.
Hello.
Oh, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm sorry I missed the first part of the meeting. I'm just going back to your notes here. It mentioned there's a abstract with space resources utilization, space resources. My question is, do those space resources, do you consider that they include, topics like the large big data servers in space and AI computers, computational, this kind of a super technology that's meshing in, this information technology is coming from space. Are these space resources? Is this something that we should address in the discussion on space resources? Because it's out there, it's happening. And it's going to increase it's mass communication, the gathering of data, the whole construct, the problem solving for the planet is all based in space. Is this something we want to kind of start talking about in the space resources forum at SRI? It's just a question. There's kind of technology of that type.
I think I have to try to give a first answer to this, because I was the originator of the big data in space concept. So I think that so far, when we talk about space resources, we are talking about moon resources and asteroid resources. So I mean physical materials that we can find on the moon and on the asteroids. What you are suggesting, if I am understanding your point, Amalie, is that somehow the possibility to exchange data and to manage data, to process data in space could be considered some kind of immaterial resource. Is that your concept, Amalie?
Yes, well, you mentioned the radio frequencies with Russia and things. The satellites are up there. There's all this whole situation is going on, interchange and communication. This impacts like global security. The many different aspects, global development. It is a technology of our time, and it's being implemented. Should we consider that as being a space-based resource? It seems like quite reasonable supposition. Why is the space resource only a physical material? Why can't it be, an arena, a platform?
Since I think we should always try to make things simple and not to complicate very much the discussion. I think
no, but there are.
Sorry, let me.
Sorry, yeah. Excuse me.
My sentence. We should keep conceptually different the material resources, and even because all the people, when they talk about space resources, they mean the material resources, the raw materials.
What?
C2 resources, and on one category, and another category will be the immaterial space resources like communication, radio frequencies, and so on. I believe we shouldn't mix the two things, because
I think the word you're looking for is benefits, because benefits is what has always been applied to things like telecommunications and space, remote sensing. Is one of the benefits of space.
Yes, exactly.
And immaterial benefit.
Okay, about the big data farms in space, we had Alberto and myself. We had a discussion yesterday during a meeting of the Italian chapter board, where we are discussing for the National Congress of Space Renaissance Italia that will take place in Catanzaro, the University of Catanzaro, in June. And we were discussing about this concept of big data farms, data centers in space. And I have made a short research today using ChatGPT, making some questions to ChatGPT about that. So I have some data now about what dimension should be the solar array to feed a 100 megawatt data center and things like that. So very, very technical numbers that can be used in our development of our paper for that. But Alberto raised an important problem. that is the possibility to put data centers on the moon and in Lagrange points to serve Earth, because there will be, of course, a latency of a couple of seconds for the communication between Earth and the moon, and that will make will invalidate one of the V's. You know that when talking about the data centers, if you see on Wikipedia, you will see that there are 6 V. That is velocity, variables, and several criteria requirements, let me say. And so for sure, one of these, at least one of these V's would be damaged by having a data center far away from the users, let me say. But that doesn't apply if we think about the Earth orbit, the LEO or even GEO or MEO, middle Earth orbit. I think putting data centers in orbit would work perfectly, and probably it will enhance some of the V's of the data center. Okay, I have shared this small document that I've made today with the 34E committee, and I can share it also with this committee, because of course it is an issue that we will be developing for the IAC in Sydney. We present an abstract for that, and so the more reflections and ideas about that, and comments and suggestions will be very much welcome. And of course, also the legal aspect of that could be interesting to be developed a little bit in our paper for IAC. Which kind of legal problems, issues, if any, will be to put a big data center in orbit, for instance, apart the financial, that the cost of the investment costs that are required and so on. But I think for our committee, maybe could have some idea about possible legal aspects. What would it mean to have a data center not on a national ground, but in orbit, that is an over-national, let me say, or transnational situation. Maybe it is an argument that some of us, maybe Wes and Dennis and Thomas, can make some thought about and give some suggestion.
All right. Well, I understand the differentiation. Okay. You're talking about technical issues, really, space, resources, materials, and technical abilities. But what happens with the applications for the, I mean, you know, this is like something that's really changing human society, the philosophy, the applications, how these new technologies might be used, you know, for the terrestrial development. I mean, where does that get looked at within the SRI, you know, and within the agenda? Is that a philosophical issue, or you know, at what level are you going to talk about these things? Because I just had a heated argument with this Sumana. You know, I mean, what? There must be some venue where we can start to address the implications of the next phase of, you know, space development, what it means for human society, the world.
Well, okay, let me say that okay, I don't want to introduce this argument here now, because
all right, okay then.
But, however, one thing I want to say: if we invite person from the east, from the Eastern world, to join us and help us trying to shape our position in a more inclusive and planetary way.
Yes,
vision,
yes.
Then we have to try to understand their words, their questions, and to see it from different points of view, out of the box, not only from our Western point of view, and to say, you're wrong. No, that should not be done. And I wouldn't like that some very precious person that are joining us would escape because they don't find a friendly and well-receiving environment in our community. That would be very bad. So I know that there was a okay, now Jerry, now I give you the floor.
All right.
There was a discussion between you and Suman about that, but I'm going. Let me say, I'm going to truncate that discussion in the next hour or two when I will be writing another email.
Yeah, I think you should do, but I'd like to know where this discussion.
I will ask her to accept your apology and to stop this discussion because it's very bad conceived.
Yeah, exactly so, Adriano. But the thing is that I would like to know where this type of discussion can take place, because this is going to happen again. We're going to say, look, there's technology. Technology can be used in certain ways. And people are going to say, well,
excuse me, everyone.
I think that having big data farms in orbit will
Adriano,
be more usable by all the peoples on Earth. I think
yes, I agree with
increase
you.
the inclusivity.
Please, everyone.
Jerry.
I just have to say that I have to leave now because I have another event to take part in. It's been a very interesting discussion, and wish you all the best. Okay.
Oh, bye.
I'm sorry. I thought you had something to say. Okay, another time. Thank you.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't think these issues are going to go away, and they're bound up with the Kupos and the whole direction of this thing through the treaties and so on. I mean, they're not going to go away. Really, I didn't want to intrude. This is a Space Law meeting. I just wondered where you felt that would be the appropriate level, appropriate location that, Space Renaissance can discuss some of these topics.
Okay. So now for the legal subcommittee, I think we are set up. We are set. We will present a presentation or speeches about the UN flag on the moon and about space resources. Wes will prepare a draft for our presentation on space resources, so we can discuss it. And remember that the deadline is 14th of February, so we have to be quick. Okay. Anything else?
No, I'll have that abstract. Should be within the next couple of days. I'll have a working draft going.
Great. Okay. So if we don't have anything else, I think we can adjourn, and I will share the materials in order to Wes and Dennis, you can prepare a minutes of this meeting and to note the action items so we don't lose track of what you're doing. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Good night.
Bye.